Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, man.
Yeah.
Football, big stepper, Unc and Phew in the building. We had to do this live,
Yeah,
man.
brother. We
Do this
finally
live.
had to make this
Oh,
happen.
man. Cheers to us, man. We did it. We might have a little special guest later on.
As
You know what I
promised,
mean?
cocktails are on the table.
Yeah. And you know what we do, man. Uncle Phew. We give you the football takes, we give you the football bullshit, and then we give you the life stuff. After
Yeah,
every
dude.
overtime,
Hell yeah.
let's talk about it. How did you feel about that raid? Remember last week we talked about it. We said we're going to learn a lot about these teams
Yeah.
in the games from week 7.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Ravens destroying Detroit? Detroit was in
Yeah.
my top 5. Actually, the
Yeah.
Ravens
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
top 5.
Well, y'all remember last week, I was emphatic that Detroit had arrived,
Yes, sir.
that they were like a top five team, that they were worthy, that this was going to be a heck of a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I was incorrect on that. The main reason being
What
that
happened?
Detroit's a bit of a pretender, right? Because what we found out in that game, and this is my biggest thing, I said we were going to find out about what's going on with that team. Were they for real?
Yes, sir.
Both teams, really. And what we found out is that Detroit was cheating on their run stop. They were putting like 8 in the box constantly, leaving the corners exposed, right? And they've gotten away with that to a 5-1 record, right? Well, now here comes Lamar and Harbaugh, Zay Flowers and the side, Mark Andrews. They
Everybody balled out.
ripped Detroit. Detroit was never in that game.
It literally was done in the first quarter.
Yeah,
The first quarter, they scored 2 touchdowns, and you didn't see life come out of Detroit.
that's it.
It started rolling and rolling and rolling and getting worse. And we're going to talk about another team that kind of got exposed a bit later. You know what I mean? I think you might know that team we will talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
But
I got a feeling
there's a lot of pretenders that we saw last week
in our
and
top five.
in our top 5. And to me, I'm like, damn. So that's why you can't trust the start of the season.
Yeah.
You cannot trust the start of the season. And something that shocked me is the Vikings
Oh my
destroying the
God.
Niners. Because it wasn't like a pure destruction, but it was domination from the first whistle to the end.
Yeah.
And you start to realize that everything we believed about football really it's
Yeah.
like you can't do the football math right now. Maybe closer to December, you have a clearer picture of who's good, who's not,
Yeah.
who's gonna last, who's not gonna last. But what do you think about that Minnesota win on prime time?
Yeah.
Prime time Kirk Cousins somehow comes out. You know what I mean? What did
Well,
you think of them beating the Niners, which
well,
was consensus the best team
yeah.
by a lot of people? Right?
Well, I guess we've seen this out of Kirk Cousins a number of different times.
A
It's
lot.
frustrating, right? When he's good, he's very good. When he's bad, he's bad, right?
So bad.
Yeah. So we got good Kirk Cousins the other night. But what was most surprising about that to me, again, is in the absence of Jefferson, right? Finally, some of the other Minnesota receivers are starting to come through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but it kind of surprised me.
Especially that receiver Jordan Addison.
Addison,
He
for
had an
sure.
amazing game. That rookie.
123 yards.
These receiving rookies. We got
Yeah.
Puka, we got Jordan Addison, we got Z Flowers. They're really
Adding to the league.
adding to the league, adding to offense. I really like
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so we saw that out of Addison. I mean, I thought Hawkinson would have stepped into that void, but Addison filled it instead. So, yeah, it was a really impressive showing by Minnesota. Very surprising. Kind of disappointing for prognosticators.
It happens. You think the math, you think Jefferson is up. They're gonna stop. They're bad.
Well, and
You know what I
in
mean?
their running game hasn't been fantastic or anything like that. But I mean, what do you want, man? Like Minnesota led from start to finish. I don't believe San Francisco had a lead at any time in that game. They
They
were
did.
always playing catch up.
They did not. And the shocking part is, we were talking about earlier in this our episodes. Y'all paying attention to our fans. We know y'all watching. Maybe y'all gonna watch the replay. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to like it for us. That's way to grow this podcast. We give y'all because we do this because we love football and we love y'all and we appreciate y'all. So smash the like,
Sure enough.
smash the like, and I'm gonna keep on drinking this rum and coke. It's gonna end by having this beer. We'll have a vibe. That's what we do.
Like and subscribe, folks.
Mm-hmm. What shocked me, brother, was our MVP candidate. One of our MVP circles guys we talked about, Brock Purdy, 2 picks
Yep.
to close out the game in the fourth quarter. Now people are saying he's just a game manager. You got your Shannon Sharp of the world. You got your Stephen A. Smith. He's not elite. He's not elite. Did that teach us something about Brock Purdy, or was it another game? What did you think of?
Well, yeah, he had two picks and one TD, right? So yeah, that's a sloppy line.
Yeah.
I think 267 yards, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an average game from Purdy at best,
Yeah.
right? For sure. But I mean, this is a guy entitled, right? He's been very good. He's been on a great run until
An
now.
amazing one.
I think it was inevitable that he'd show himself to be human, right? So without kissing his ass completely, right? Because we all know that I've been a fan of Purdy to this
You've
point.
been a
But
big fan of Purdy.
yeah, well, just because he was so efficient and surgeon like, in so many games up until now. But it was inevitable that he would have a game like that. It wasn't against the opponent that I thought it would be,
Me
but
neither. I
yeah.
thought it was going to be against like
So
a real contender. Because the
yeah,
Vikings are in the quarterback sweepstakes at this point. They're like,
yeah.
they're in the bottom of the league right now.
Yeah. Well, people were talking about people were starting to talk about MVP Purdy and whatnot, and I thought that was overblown. That wasn't really appropriate. But he has been very good to date. The guy had a bad game. I mean, it happens. It happens to everybody.
It's the NFL. Everybody has
But
that.
we'll see. But we'll see though if this is the process of starting to figure out Purdy. Remember, he's still on his rookie honeymoon, basically, right?
Yes.
So now people have a lot of game tape on the guy. He's played about 15 or 16 games
When
right
I,
now.
when I watch him play, he's actually efficient. He's good, but sometimes he goes on his first read. And keep in mind, he has a lot of Pro Bowlers around him. He has
Yeah,
Kittle,
yeah,
he has Debo, he has
yeah,
Christian McCaffrey. This guy has ballers all around him.
yeah,
It's hard to fail in that system.
yeah.
And a great coordinator slash coach. It's very hard to fail in that system.
So
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
he's got a lot of tools. So I
Ton of them.
anticipate that Purdy will be back on the horse in no time. But we'll find out whether he's getting figured out or not.
We're gonna definitely find out. But you know something we did find out? The Bills are pretenders. We
Yeah,
have to talk about it.
yeah,
The Bills
man.
are pretenders because they
Yeah.
lost to the Patriots last week.
In stunning
The
fashion.
Mac Jones led Patriots. And it was a game-winning drive by Mac Jones. I didn't think I would see it. It
Yeah,
looked Brady
against the Bills, anyways.
against the Bills.
Right? And where's that defense, right?
MIA. And we're gonna talk about MIA.
Mac Jones makes the Buffalo Z go MIA. Like, what the
MIA.
hell happened?
But man, I don't know what it is. I don't know who Josh Allen is. One moment he's a Pro Bowl MVP level quarterback. The next week this guy throws three picks
Yeah,
for no reason.
yeah. No, Josh Allen is inconsistent.
Inconsistent as fuck. And I'm telling you, the Bills pretenders. Remember that Unc and Phew told you pretenders. This is a guarantee. And we are in enemy territory because this is the Buffalo Bills bar.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah,
got
yeah.
Buffalo Bills helmets over there. We're talking mad shit about the Bills. It is what it is. They are pretenders. We told you that. Do not forget it now.
Ontario loves the Bills, man. But let me tell you, the Bills don't love Ontario. Like we've broken our hearts almost as much as the Leafs, right?
You're going far with that, man. The Leafs, they break a lot of hearts, man.
Yeah, okay. Well, how many Super Bowls you gonna lose, right? I mean, how often do you get to the Super Bowl,
That is a
right?
fact.
You got to extrapolate this out.
If you look at the 90s, man, the Bills were always in Super Bowls, always this close
Yeah,
with Jim Kelly and them.
yeah. The early '90s, the Bills were, they looked unstoppable.
Yeah. My thing is, when we're looking at the Bills, right? Is that a similar thing happening now? Because every time with the Bills now, we're looking at it. They make a run. They make a run. Either meet the Bengals in embarrassing fashion last
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
They'll meet Kansas City, which was actually a good battle a few years ago.
Yep.
They'll meet a team that'll stop them. What's up with them? Is it like an organization? Are they cursed? Are they like the Chicago Bears cursed? I don't know what the fuck.
Well, I don't really believe in curses that much, but
Yeah.
at this point, you got to say maybe, because like yeah, the Bills are the what do you want to call them? The beautiful losers in football,
I guess so, man.
right? Unfortunately, like kind of reminiscent of the Bo Sox up until they finally won in 2004. Like the Bills have put together seriously beautiful seasons
Yes, they have.
of wins, of poetically played football,
Mm-hmm.
right? Only to come up against, another team in the playoffs. It just makes them look stupid. And in the '90s, that was the NFC's job. But nowadays, it seems like it's the Chiefs' job.
The Chiefs, and that's why I kind of.
Or some other team like that in the AFC. But trust me, if you're a Bills fan, your heart is going to be broken.
My boy, his name is Ben. I might even send him a clip of this. He is the hardcore Bills fan. He loves the Bills.
I can't imagine what that's like.
I talked to him about it. I'm like, how does it feel? He's always waiting for the shit to happen.
Yeah,
Because he knows it's happening. He knows it's gonna happen. But
like being a Leafs fan.
Actually, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Get in the comments and let us know if the Bills are the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Are they the heartbreak we say they are?
Yeah, because he tells me all the time, he's like, no matter how good we're doing, it's coming.
Yeah.
That time last week with freaking Mac Jones with a beautiful game winning drive. I didn't think they were going to win that game, but they came back.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about football. And the thing is, this kind of reminds me of how the Eagles dominated Miami. So we've learned a lot of narrative. And that's the other pretender I was talking about. Miami, are they actually contenders?
They
because
got
the
worse.
teams that they beat have a combined record of like 8-27. Shit teams.
And you go back, remember I was talking last week about it. We're getting deep enough into the season now when you start to look at your points for and points against as a sign of are you for real or are you pretending? And if you look at Miami, and remember I said last week too, like you take that 70-20 game, like cut 35 points out of it if you want an accurate representation of who Miami is. Assume they won that game 35-20 instead of 70-20. All of a sudden, their points differential gets real small.
Very small. Very small.
Okay, so you're basically talking about a team that wins by like 3-4 points a game in shootouts, right? Because they have a lot of points.
And the thing is,
so that tells you that their defense is suspect.
They've lost now to the Bills and the Eagles. And the thing is, those losses, I look at the quality of losses.
Yeah, they are quality teams to lose to if you're going to lose.
They lost to quality teams, but weren't even competitive.
In those games.
In those games, they were getting smacked around. The Bills smacked them. Jalen Hurts smacked them.
Right.
And they were getting dominated, which gets me worried about the playoffs. Because they're going to face possibly the Bills.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can go all the way far to face the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I don't know if they're going to go that far. But they're going to face these elite teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they have a high likelihood to get spanked because they spank trash teams when they face the elite guys. They don't really shine. Like the Ravens face elite guys, they shine. The Chiefs face elite guys, and they shine.
Yeah. It does. It says a lot about your character as a team.
Yes.
How you play when you're playing the good teams.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's why we were so disappointed with that Dallas game, for example. Right? Like when Dallas went up against San Francisco, we were saying, okay, Super Bowl preview, right? Where we go? Was not true. Exposed. Dallas, pretenders. Same thing happened to Detroit this weekend. What happened to Detroit this weekend was, they got exposed.
And now we have Miami exposed as pretenders. We have a lot of pretenders, but you know what? The cream rises to the top. Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about the top, we're in the Taylor Swift segment.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. What angle are we going for this week?
Kelsey went for 12 catches for 179 yards, 1 touchdown. He was reaching close to the Shannon Sharp record. Shannon Sharp had 12 catches for 214 yards as a tight end. That is a record. Kelsey was inching close to that. And guess who was in the stands during the game?
Well, we joked about this. We joked about it last week, saying like, if the NFL's get a tie, or the week before, if the NFL's get a tie into this thing, right? Yeah. So Taylor Swift can't have a good time if her man's having a bad day out on the field, right? And I don't actively think that that's going on, but subconsciously, it's starting to show like a trend, man. This guy doesn't have a bad game when he shows up.
Not at all.
And that
actually he balls up.
And that goes beyond like, just a coincidence. Once it's happenstance, twice it's a coincidence. 3 games in a row is a trend.
We're seeing data points, dog. We're seeing data points, dog. We're seeing patterns.
I don't know whether the refs are easing up on Kels or what, but he's definitely he's showing mad numbers whenever he shows up. So take that for what you will, fantasy lovers.
This is an eye test for him. you can just watch the game.
Yeah.
He was dominating.
Yeah.
Mahomes just gets him in space, and then Kelsey will run for 20 more yards.
Yeah.
He'll do yards after catch. He'll get open. Now, is it a subconscious thing when you know your girl or somebody you
I was
not
about
played is
to say,
watching
man.
you perform? Is it like,
I was about to
you
say,
know what I
man.
mean?
Let's not dismiss the fact that the man's in love. Man, behind every successful man is a woman, right? Man, yeah, yeah. So maybe he's just feeling all inspired because his new sweetheart is watching. God knows.
What's so impressive? You know what I
God
mean?
knows, man. Who knows? Maybe he's just feeling all good about himself every moment of every day because he's getting that good loving.
I'm
I mean,
telling
you
you.
don't know, man.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna be real with you. When I was younger, right, I'm playing games, basketball, football, rugby, I was doing all type of shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When a girl I liked or was dealing with, like, girlfriend, whatever, when she was around, I feel that extra. I'm gonna try to show you something special today. I'm gonna cook something in the pot.
Let me tell you, buddy. Listen, the right woman will make any man feel like 170 yards on 12 receptions.
Oh my god, I'll smoke.
Respect,
I
man.
like that. But yeah, so we're done with our daily skill segment of the week because I know it's gonna happen again.
Right?
But the interesting fact about this is that when it comes to the NFL and what they're doing now, they are branding more to women, and we've talked about this consistently, and it's working. I think it's working.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Sure it is.
penetrating through not just T Swift fans, but then you have rappers like Sexy Red, you have rappers like Glorilla. Glorilla is a big fan of Mike Tomlin.
Oh, no kidding, huh?
Glorilla is a rapper from Memphis, and she got popular about a year ago. And she was actually in the Steelers locker room
Oh, no kidding, huh?
last few days ago at a practice, and she took pictures of Mike Thomas. She's super popular.
No shit. I'm gonna have to
So
check that out.
I'm telling you, she's a huge
She's a,
Steelers fan.
no
She
kidding.
loves Mike Thomas.
I'm gonna have to look out for Glorilla.
Glorilla, dog. Check out Glorilla, a huge fan of the Steelers.
My Gen X tip for the week.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And you know what? She's bringing fans in too. She's not Taylor Swift popular, but she's bringing in.
Yeah,
You know
man.
what I mean? So, yo,
Well,
NFL's doing the right thing with the marketing.
well, yeah, no, like we were saying in another podcast, for over 20 years now, the NFL has been trying to draw women in to the whole vibe, to the ethos of the NFL.
Absolutely.
And I think it's wonderful. I mean, if I'm running a business, I want 50% of society to be included in my
Hell
demographics,
yeah.
right?
Hell
It's
yeah.
just common sense. And yeah, no, I've really appreciated their efforts over the years to try to draw, the fair sex into the game,
I respect it and think
right?
about it like this. I remember, you know what I liked too back in the day when they used to do the pink branding for breast cancer
Yeah,
awareness,
man.
where you had the uniforms with some pink in them. I think that was dope.
Well, look,
I think that
cancer
was really
awareness, especially breast cancer awareness, is a huge issue in society.
cool. It actually.
And yeah, no, if the NFL was going to target that demographic, they couldn't have chosen a better issue to try on.
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
so yeah, we support that in every single way.
Oh yeah, man. Me, Unc Phew, man. We out here supporting the right
Yeah,
causes, supporting
and the
women,
next
supporting love.
and
That's
the
what we do.
next thing that we're seeing is very quietly being done in the NFL.
Tucker.
Female refs,
Oh, I've noticed that too. Yeah, there's
right?
actually been
Like it matters, man. In a league that's obviously all men for obvious reasons, right? Right? But to see a female out there pronouncing judgment on certain plays, having authority over these players, blah 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 blah, that sounds like I'm talking about some kind of weird paradigm or whatever, but I'm not. We're talking about women who have a position that is prominent on the
That's
field.
really important to the field. Yes.
They're
Yeah.
prominent on the field
Yeah.
without playing the game for the obvious reasons that they can. So for all of us sitting in the stands and we see like a ponytail out there
Mm-hmm.
throwing flags,
Oh
putting
yeah.
putting her arm up, calling calls, all that type of thing, like, you can't help but say
That's good.
that she belongs,
Absolutely.
and therefore by extension stands that look like her.
And this is actually what's happening actually in
And I
general.
think that's huge.
There's a ton of female football fans.
There are.
Ton. Appreciate it, my man. There's a lot, man. Like black football's becoming a huge thing.
Yeah. Which
In
is a
general,
largely a female-dominated sport.
a ton of women in black
Yeah.
football. I remember when I was in uni a few years ago, black football, almost all the teams, because it was called men,
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
and girls, almost all teams had majority women. Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Because girls like to play black football. They love football. It's just now you have the inclusion aspect.
Yeah.
And I think even though I criticize Goodell for a lot of shit, because he's on some bullshit sometimes, but I think that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
upsides to his management
Yeah.
of the NFL as a business.
Well, to me, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yes.
You've got like 50% of society largely not paying any attention to the game.
Not at all.
It's the easiest way to extend your footprint.
Yes.
Is just to bring in these like unutilized fans. But you have to do some work to get there.
Yeah, you know what I'd like to?
And they've done the work.
They've done the work on top of that. The halftime show, Super Bowl halftime show, it's almost like an unspoken rule that it's for the girls.
Yeah,
It's for the ladies.
yeah,
Have
yeah.
you
That's
noticed that?
I have noticed that. Actually, that's been a long running theme. That's been a long running theme. Is that like back in the day, the early 2000s and stuff like that. That used to be a running joke. Um,
Sorry, folks, we just had a little technical difficulties. We are back.
but yeah, no. To extend that thought, that was always
My man.
the recurring. That was always the recurring theme. Is that the Super Bowl commercials were the attraction for the girls.
Absolutely.
Right? And so they would watch the Super Bowl with their boyfriends because they would enjoy, the commercials, etc.
Right.
Well, so that was sort of a thing for a while. But the reality is that we've moved beyond that. I think to say of the women that they only watch the game to watch the
Oh,
commercials.
definitely the game.
They've got
They're
their
invested
players.
in the game,
Yeah, they've got their players that they like and all that type of
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
But that was sort of a recurring theme for a while in the early days when women were just sort of starting to come into the game to watch
They
the
were
game.
like kind of new to the
The,
game.
the initial appeal was, oh, those commercials are interesting. Those are fun and all that type of
We got a
stuff.
special guest in the
Sorry to
building.
interrupt.
Come on.
Come around back.
You guys ever heard of peanut churros?
I've never seen that in my life.
Come,
Neither have I.
come around back.
You
Right
wanna come
here.
back here? Jazz, we're gonna need you for our last segment around the end of the podcast,
Yeah,
but you can come hang out for a little bit.
Oh, guys, try these.
So it's right. We got our special guest Jazz in the building, man. We're gonna have test.
This is my daughter, folks. And she's like completely and inappropriately brought cereal to the podcast.
not
That was our podcast. It's all good.
But
It's because Dustin walks in wearing
it's
a
family,
cinnamon
so
toast.
what are we gonna do?
It
So
tastes good
Dustin
though.
walks in wearing a cinnamon toast crunch hoodie, cinnamon toast churros.
Give it a chance. Give it a chance. We're doing taste
We're
test
giving,
live.
we moved on to the taste test section of the podcast.
I already have
What are these?
cinnamon toast crunch churros.
Churros.
We need a product placement, so I'm gonna need the churros company, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch company. Send
Write
us a check.
a check.
We need a
Or
check.
at least more boxes.
we give free sponsorships in these streets.
Honestly,
EFT counts as a check, by the way.
I already helped out by making sure your ear was
I saw that.
We like that fresh beer. We like that fresh drink.
I'll be back for the end.
For the end, for the last segment, Jazz, I'll give you a little signal. Appreciate you coming in, man.
Cheers to churros.
Yeah,
Churros,
yeah.
they're not that bad.
Let me
Anyways,
tell you
yeah.
something. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, we need that check, dog. We need that check. Get in our emails, man. But let's talk about some people that need to be checked. Meaning in fantasy football. We are inching closer. I think we're at halfway point essentially. Well, we moved past
Close
half of
to
the
it.
season, right?
Close to it, yep.
So are people kind of know who they have to start instead? People are kind of good with their rosters. What do you think they should watch out for on a start and sit basis? Or any players, any kind of transaction and trends you've been noticing in the fantasy game right now?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I scrolled through our league just to see who's available.
Yeah.
Now we're a fairly deep league, 14 teams. So yeah, but let me tell you, the pickings on the waiver wire are slim.
Very slim.
There is not much out there at all. Anybody who's noteworthy at all in our league, and I'm assuming that's a lot of other leagues, take it.
Is it time for trades?
I think the only way that you're going to orchestrate new talent into your roster in our particular league is going to be by a trade.
Yeah.
Now, who you're going to target for that, that's up to y'all to figure out. It depends what you have to offer in return. But in other leagues, ESPN and whatnot, I've seen, yeah. There's guys like Waddle, not pardon me, Waddle, but well, what's his name in Pittsburgh? The backup running back to Najee Harris, Jalen.
It's something number 30.
Jalen.
Jalen something. Yeah,
Jalen, yeah.
He's 30. He's 32 or something.
He's starting to make Najee look bad. To be honest with you, and I have a feeling that guy down the road in the playoffs is going to yield a lot of points. I have a feeling that it's going to come down to that. The other one too is the secondary receiver in Indiana, as we saw last weekend. This is second of Pittman.
There's the other guy. I remember.
Wow, that guy is starting to ground into shape in a big way. So excited to see him coming around.
And by the way, one quick comment before we continue. I have a feeling that Gardner Minshew is going to get these Colts in the playoffs. But anyway, so we'll discuss that a bit later. Because the Colts, they have some juice in that team. They have some juice with that win on Cleveland. They have some juice in that squad.
You're starting to see the offense come through, man. That was actually one of the better games of last week. That 38-39 game. I was like, dude, I lucked upon that game. I started watching it. I'm like, going, this shit's lights out, man.
Of all games, Indy versus Cleveland game, and Watson is out within the first play.
And the game made no damn sense, right? Because here's Cleveland with his lights out offense, or pardon me, defense.
Amazing.
And here's Indy with a halfway decent offense. They got some players, right? But neither team struck you as a team that would threaten 40.
There were, it was almost a 40-point shootout.
39 game. Like, how did that happen with Cleveland playing anyway?
And that PJ Walker guy, the backup from Washington, he needs to. He might need to speak to his agent because he might start getting a check real soon. Because, let me tell you something. Sean Watson is looking like a trash flop quarterback. But you know what? That's
he's average. He's really average.
You're being kind. That's what he's not.
He's pretty much bottom of the rank.
I'm like, dog, you have multiple guys who are playing better than you, and you are literally the highest or the second highest paid quarterback in the league by guaranteed money. And what's happening now, though, is there's a trend. I don't know if you noticed this. Really high paid quarterbacks and playing bad. We have Herbert. We have Watson. We have Joe Burrow. In the recent weeks, he's actually and that goes to something by later we'll discuss. Even Jalen Hurts is having a low-key worse season than last year.
Oh yeah, no,
and he got paid the big money.
It's subpar to last year.
It's subpar. Like he has 8 picks. He had 6 last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only player I think who's actually performing to his contract, actually 2 guys, are Lamar and Mahomes.
I was gonna say Mahomes is the name you should spit out.
Mahomes for sure.
Yeah.
Lamar's close number 2, and then think about it like this: you could even argue Josh Allen is underplaying his contract because Josh Allen's supposed to win some of these games. Like Kyler Murray's injured. Like what's going on? He'll get the bag.
He's on his way back though. Kyler Murray's on his way back.
Fingers crossed, man, because I like him.
Yeah.
These guys are getting the bag and they're getting worse.
Well, we've talked about this before, man. Like your energy is never higher than when you're striving for what you want. You're trying to prove yourself, right? So once you prove yourself, of course, there's like whether you realize it or not, or whether circumstances conspire against you. The fact is that once you're home and cooled out, you get a little comfortable.
You get a little comfortable now.
You
get that COVID weight, bro. I gotta go back to the gym.
Ask Dak Prescott about getting comfortable with a big contract. Maybe that was mean. I don't know.
The Cowboy fans are gonna be on the ass. But if you're on the ass and you're a Cowboy fan, at least give us a like, man.
Right?
Let's start off with a like.
If you're gonna cuss me out, at least give us a like.
I will say this, you're absolutely right. What's happening is when you're grinding for that contract and you want to get paid, you put in that extra effort. When ironically, after you get paid, you're supposed to give it an even higher.
More. You're supposed to justify it.
You're supposed to even work harder. And I think we're reaching a point of almost diminishing returns where GMs are going to not give the big contract and might even do that strategy where you just draft a young guy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they get away with that. That's a nice strategy, but the marketplace has a weird way of intervening. Oh, you didn't sign him?
Let's grab
Talk to my accountant. You know,
That
so
is a fact.
it is a fact. So they will continue to get the big money. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course, and the issue in the player's mind, right?
Mm.
Because you describe a certain way of thinking that they should justify the money that
That's
they
what I'm
just got.
saying. If I get a bigger contract, if I get more paid, I'm gonna work harder than.
But look at the way
You know what I mean?
they're
That's how I
looking.
look at it.
Look at the way they're thinking about it. They're thinking about it in terms of like, well, what the hell was I doing for the last 3 years? Justify my contract, right? They looked at their contract as the justification of the previous years where they were underpaid.
Where they were underpaid.
And I think honestly, if there's any place where mentally players adjust their perspective,
Yeah.
that's where it is, right? The fans are saying, okay, show me the money you just earned.
Show me the money.
Right?
Jerry Springer said Jerry Seinfeld.
Gary McGuire,
There we go.
right? So yeah, so instead of like, but and they're sitting there going like, show me the money. I showed you the money when it was on credit. That's the way they're looking at it.
And then you have something that happens actually often now. We're going to talk about this about the Adams thing. That's what we're going to get to. Where you go for the bag, but your career gets worse.
Yeah, yeah,
And that happens a lot of the time.
Well-
look at AD. As a Steelers fan.
yeah,
AD
dude.
wanted the money. Show me the money.
Yeah.
They showed him the door. Then he got the money, and his career is subsequently with the shit.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to balance, and this is something players used to do, but they don't so much nowadays because there's so much money available.
So much money.
There's so much money. Like, if somebody offers
much
you
money.
20% more of $100 million, that's $20 million
That's
fucking
a
dollars,
lot of
dude.
guap,
Right?
That's a lot of guap.
Whereas, you know, back in the day when players were making $100 grand a year and someone offers you 120 somewhere else, like you might think twice about, well, what are my prospects somewhere else?
That's what I'm saying.
Whereas nowadays, you're like, fuck it, dude. As soon as I sign that check, I don't care what my prospects look like. This is what I've been working for all my damn life.
And then think about it, just compared to the legends of football, right? You got our Jerry Rice, you got our Joe Montana, you got our Deion Sanders. These guys are not getting even a fraction of what guys are getting this year. Not even a fraction. Like, there's rookies who are beating some of these guys and earning sometimes. You're like, bruh. You know what I mean? Like, has that diluted the quality of the game? And that comes to a theme we always talk about. Has it changed the game? Dudes treating this like, fuck it, I can go get traded to another team for more money. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there probably has to be an element of that in there.
Ooh.
Like, it is a different game. Like, you know, if your agent is sitting you down and explaining all the numbers to you and telling you what your options are elsewhere,
Right.
and these numbers are like
Ridiculous.
you really stop thinking in terms of like, well, how well will I do there? I mean, will I get a ring? I mean, certain people think like that, but most of them, I bet you 90% of the players, they all talk about getting a ring, but at the end of the day,
Look at
the
Devontae
thing is
Adams.
the check.
Devontae Adams really wasn't going to get a ring with the Raiders, and now he's suffering.
Yep,
He has bums throwing him the football, dog.
Yeah.
Straight up bums.
yep.
And I'm talking about Jimmy G. So you Raiders fans, you can go off in the comments at me, give me a like.
I'm going to abuse you, but I want you to like me still.
Yeah, I mean, or get in the comments. Tell me how much you hate me. But let me tell you this. But like the video. You know what I mean? I feel so bad for not only Raiders fans. I feel so bad for Devontae. He is an all-time elite talent, having his prime go to waste. And
Yeah.
if he stayed in Green Bay, even though the contract wasn't that he wanted, you don't think that him and Jordan Love would have a great connection?
Well,
And they would actually be very competitive
Well,
in the
we
division?
talked about that last week
We
about,
did.
about how Green Bay has continuity at quarterback in a way that no other franchise can really claim.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, if I was Devontae Adams, I would not have been scared about Jordy Love throwing me the ball,
Not at all. Not at
right?
all.
And so, yeah, it's purely a money move in that light.
And if you look at Green Bay, they need a number one true wideout because
Big
Jordan Love can
time.
try his best.
Big
But
time.
that guy, like, he doesn't have a dominant dude to throw to.
The theme for Green
You know what I
Bay's
mean?
wide receiver core this year is quest for fire.
So,
Somebody got to find some fire.
let me tell you something. The best thing that happened to Brett Favre when he started his career was having Shannon Sharp's older brother,
Sterling Sharp.
Sterling Sharp as a receiver. And
Yeah.
I looked up highlights of Sterling Sharp. This dude
He's
won a
great.
motherfucker.
Sterling Sharp was awesome. Yeah,
Did you get a chance to watch him?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't watch him live, obviously.
Oh yeah, in the '90s, I enjoyed Green Bay's resurgence, and I like Brett Favre. Yeah, just because he was exciting to watch,
Oh,
right?
it was fun to watch.
And it was an interesting story to see them come back in the early '90s, mid '90s, because yeah, Green Bay is a historic franchise, publicly community owned, all that type of thing. There were a lot of reasons to support Green Bay. Yeah, after years of the Bears and all their like fun antics and all that type of stuff, it was just interesting to see another team rise up, from the Midwest that way. And Green Bay being an historic franchise, I definitely out of a sense of history started paying attention to them, and I saw a lot of great games from those '90s Green Bay teams. They were great.
So if you look at Brett Favre's career, he started with Sterling Sharp, who was an amazing receiver. You see how great that was for his career? Having an elite wideout as a young quarterback is so good for his
Hugely
career.
important.
You look at a guy like Mahomes. I'm not a Mahomes hater. I'm just a little more objective on him. So you Kansas City fans, you know what job you have to do. Get in the comments, tell me how much you hate Mustafa,
Cuss him out.
and then put a
And
like.
then
But Mahomes, I think the greatest blessing he had was to have Tyreek Hill as a receiver, have Travis Kelce as a receiving tight end, basically a second receiver.
Right.
To have Andy Reid as a quarterback, even Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator. Having multiple great people around you makes you such a great quarterback, especially as a young quarterback. We've seen the opposite happen so many times. We've seen it with Justin Fields. We saw it with basically Zach Wilson. You know what I mean? We've seen it with a lot of young quarterbacks get put in situations where they're set up to almost fail. You know? Anyways.
Well, the one thing that was always in Holmes' favor before he ever played one single day in a professional sports league is that he was raised by a father,
A great father.
who was
Very good.
a professional baseball player, if I remember.
Yep.
So Mahomes grew up in that scene, right? He understood pro sports franchises, the whole idea of what it meant to be a pro sports player.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, Holmes definitely benefited from that, and it gives him a certain appreciation of the supports that he has.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So Holmes is difficult to compare to your average rookie coming into the league in that way. Yeah, but don't take anything away from the guy, from what he's accomplished.
I'm not saying,
Yeah,
for me,
because-
I'm not taking anything away. I'm just saying that his situation that he got placed in
Was ideal.
amazing.
Yeah, no, it
That's-
was almost a perfect situation.
Alex Smith-
Winning club, everything.
Alex Smith was getting MVP votes a few years before Mahomes got in because that Chiefs offense was so good with Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And, you know, Andy Reid has made every quarterback Andy Reid has coached has had career years.
Well, the very
Almost.
fact that Alex Smith had a revival
Yes, he did.
in KC tells you all you need to know about the system that Mahomes entered.
Oh yes. And then for me, that I'm not taking anything away from Mahomes. He's the number one quarterback in the league right now.
He is.
He's playing amazing football, and like I said in the title of this podcast, it's Lamar and Mahomes for the MVP and AFC, because that's the key. I've noticed a trend. When the Chiefs get number one seed, everybody has to go through the Chiefs. Kingdom.
That's right. It's happened for years.
Teams are just losing that. It's like the
Well,
home field advantage is so
KC's
good.
a tough place to play, man.
It is.
Arrowhead Stadium is a tough place to play.
And I think that adds on to them going to the Super Bowl so often. Them going
Well, especially if
You know?
if you secure home field advantage,
yeah.
and your home field advantage is Arrowhead Stadium.
you're gonna win a lot of games.
Hey, you trying to mess around here or what?
You're gonna mess around and find out.
Yeah, brother, that's for real. For real. But yeah, and the Chiefs are looking to be on that type of trajectory again this
That's what it
year.
looks like.
They're looking really good. But anyhow, Lamar. We call him Mahar. Anyhow, Lamar and Baltimore pull off anything like they did against Detroit last year. They're going to challenge. They're going to challenge the Chiefs for that championship.
And I'll tell you this, as a Ravens fan, that's what I've been waiting to see from the new Todd Monken offense.
Yeah.
Where they're getting creative with the passing scheme. you have a lot of yards after catch. You
Yeah.
have a lot of receivers getting in space, and Lamar finding them in time, in rhythm, in sync. If they play like that consistently throughout the season, them and the Chiefs could be battling it out for the
Well,
AFC
and
supremacy.
listen,
And I think that would be a fun game to watch personally.
you talk about mess around and find out. All that passing last weekend, you see what it did for Gus Edwards finally?
Oh, space. Give him
Gus
space.
Edwards finally had some space to operate
Yes.
as a straight ahead runner because he's not a big receiver.
No.
Even though, ironically, he got an 80-yard
80-yard
reception,
reception.
75 yards after the catch.
Guess what? I had him on my bench, man.
Did you?
I had him on my bench.
Not me. He's the only viable running back I had after McCaffrey.
You know what? This is why I hate fantasy because I bench guys and then they explode.
Yeah.
I start them, they do shit.
Well, I was finally rewarded. And all you Gus Edwards fans out there, well, fans or fantasy participants, whoever had to start Gus Edwards for the last 7 weeks, your payoff was last 6 weeks. Your payoff was last weekend. Gus Edwards was awesome.
He went crazy with that 80-yard reception, and
Got me 23 points.
that's what, you know what, goes back to what I said. That Todd Monken offense is about spreading the ball.
Because-
it's about a spread offense.
Give everybody space.
Give everybody some space, and I think Odell game is coming. And Odell, I'm gonna say it right now, an Odell game is coming.
Actually, a lot of fantasy analysts are calling Odell a pickup if you don't already have him in your league.
And I think it's gonna happen because what Lamar's been doing is he's been trusting Zay Flowers a lot, but recently I've been seeing an uptick of targets.
The
towards
number of
Odell.
targets that he's throwing to is increasing week by week.
And, excuse me. I'm getting turned up talking about the Ravens. I get excited.
But you know who's also like that? You know who had a really impressive week last week was Mahomes. He had like 6 different receivers who had at least 2 catches.
400 and something yards, 4 touchdowns. We had a Mahomes out of this planet game.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying these two might be battling it out for the MVP. And we're going to see what seeding happens at the end of the year because one of these two guys they're always creeping in the MVP race because they're the only 2 active players. The only 2 active football players who have won MVP.
Right?
It's Mahomes and Lamar. Tom Brady retired last year.
I did an actual, I did a quick comparison because I knew this topic was coming up. To see,
Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
Well, they're actually like remarkably similar. Their overall points output in fantasy is almost identical, within 5 points, right? So a point a week is the difference between the 2 of them. And it's an interesting breakdown because when you first look at it, it's like Mahomes has got like 15 TD receptions versus like 8 for Lamar.
But Lamar has the running touchdown.
Exactly. I was just the point. I was just the point to point out. Until you look at the rushing stats, you realize that Mahomes is having a down year there, and Lamar's way up there. Lamar's got an additional 5 running touchdowns.
Yes, he does.
So that puts him 8 plus 5 is 13, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's in the same wheelhouse as Mahomes.
Yes.
And on interceptions, I think.
Lamar has, I think, maybe 4. Maybe
Yeah.
5. But Mahomes definitely has more. I think Lamar.
I think it's Mahomes that has 6, and Lamar has 3.
Has like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Because I remember saying to myself that all the stats are cut in half, but yet they're not because of the running yards and the running touchdowns that Lamar has. So yeah, to me, as far as I'm concerned, they're co-equals in that regard.
They're very, very close. And you know what? Let me give you this. If there was like 2 or 3 catches in that Steelers game, the Ravens would be 6-1.
Yeah.
They'll be 6-1 Ravens if there are a few catches that were caught.
Yeah. Outside of a divisional black and blue matchup,
Right.
they might have the same record.
And then take this in from Mahomes. If he had Kelsey in that Detroit game, the Chiefs win. So we can talk about the 7 and OT.
Yeah.
So, you know,
If it's and buts, candies and nuts.
Buzz candies and nuts. I like that. Never heard that.
We'd all have a Merry Christmas. You've never heard that before?
I've never heard it in my
If
life,
wishes and butts for candies and nuts, it'd all be a Merry Christmas. Yeah, dude.
Y'all get in the comments if y'all heard that before. I have no idea what Unc's talking about. That's witty. That's funny.
That's a very common saying over here. Wishes and butts for candies and nuts.
Well, talking about witches. We're Halloween and we're Halloween weekend.
Wishes, dude. Wishes, not witches. I don't want no damn witches.
We don't want no witches, man. If she's a witch, we got an autograph. We want Taylor Swift, who's going to help us with our careers.
Yeah.
We don't want witches down here.
Yeah.
We don't want no Jada Pinkett Smith. This might be a conversation for overtime, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Let's stay on
So
topic,
you want to scale that back before we get a whole bunch of hate mail.
man, let me tell you something. I can allow you haters to hate on us. You hate as much as you want, but put a like next to that motherfucker, man. That's what all I want, man.
Like to love and hate.
There we go. So let's talk about some life spread this week, man. Let's talk about some life spread. As we spread this Hollywood vibe, this Halloween vibe, sorry. What are some games that you're looking at and you're like, maybe I want to put a little, a little 5, a little 10 piece, maybe 20 piece on this game, or some plus minus there, or some, let us know, let us know. What are you looking at, man?
Well, dude,
What does your research show you?
my research is being conducted as we speak. Like I told you, I had a meeting.
We're back. Sorry for that. A little intermission. Right? I will say this. Since we're doing it live, it's a little different. And I'm thinking we're going to do more live in the future. Maybe come here. Maybe I might do Toronto in the future as
Hey,
well,
you never know.
around the GTA. So it's a little bit harder. Like, as we do it live, rising spread, we do it live. For me, I have some games that I kind of thought would be interesting. The Bengals Niners game, these are potentially games. I thought Bengals Niners would be interesting. Rams and Cowboys would be interesting. And Jets and Giants, those are three games that I actually think will be very competitive.
Well,
What do you think?
just looking at it off the top of my head here, I'm looking at this Jets Giants game. So obviously in New York, the home game is supposed to be New. Yeah. Now New York Jets -3. I'm all over that. I would definitely take that. Yeah. Well, the Giants had a more victory last weekend, and the Jets team like this. So I'm pretty surprised Naples is a rough action on that game. What are they calling for an over under on that game?
Do you have anything for the Jets, for the Rams and Cowboys? I think that might be a little more competitive than we think the Rams. They'll shock you sometimes. You know what I mean?
Well, the Rams are going through a bit of a massive overhaul right now. They're on so that's kind of intriguing right there. Look for the Rams. Yeah, Rams and Dallas. Oh my goodness, Dallas is 7. Dallas is 7-point favorite. No, take LA. Take LA. Dallas is 7-point favorite. Even at home. So yeah. Now the other one that's interesting, Miami's at home against Cleveland, -9. My guess is that Miami, cover that anyway. Yeah. New England rose up last week, so lost signs of life, but I don't think that's the same. Rivalry thing and all that good stuff. Now, this one is interesting here too. Tennessee is a home underdog against Atlanta. Oh, coming off a bye week. So that's a little bit of an interesting scenario right there. Yeah, Atlanta has been looking better in these weeks.
Atlanta is, high and low, very high and low. But when they're high, they're really high. When they're low, they're low. Let's hope Bijan plays. If Bijan plays, I might even move the line. You know what I
Might
mean?
even, yeah. So that was kind of interesting to me. But my guess though is that at -2.5, my guess is that Atlanta's all covered that. They're playing better football lately. They have. And you got Minnesota Green Bay too. They're at home in Green Bay. You got a 1 point spread for Minnesota. Yeah. You know what? I kind of feeling like if Minnesota plays a little bit like they played last week, my guess is that they win that game.
It is divisional, so it's gonna matter in the playoffs. It won't matter in seeding.
Yeah.
I expect that to be close game. They're giving us a Minnesota by a point. Jordan Love has been disappointed. The Green Bay has been disappointed. I mean, it's like you said, if Minnesota plays like I did play last week,
Exactly. If they play like they played
and
last
that's a big asterisk. If they do what they did last week, yes.
no guarantee. And look at this JT Denver line.
Oh my
He's
God.
favored by -7. Give me 14.
No.
Yeah, Denver's gonna get licked. Oh my god. And now, okay, here's that. So then here's that Cincinnati San Francisco line. -5. Wow, that's an interesting line. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like Cincinnati actually, after showing out quite well, was disappointing last week. I don't know where to get. My automatic reaction to that is San Francisco easily cover 5 points. Yeah, so that's my gut instinct on that.
I'm going to disagree because I think it's going to be tight.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be tight. I mean, because for one, Brock Purdy's not playing. They got Sam Darnold.
That changes things a lot, actually. I didn't realize he was there.
Yeah, they confirmed it this week. He's going to plus up.
Oh.
So they're putting Sam Darnold in. And I think, I'll be real.
Yeah.
The Bears stuff in the building. I think that's bullshit. Because Brady's playing trash. We might need to
That ain't happening, dude. That ain't happening. There's no appeal to Sam
I'm not
Darnold.
even sure. I'm just throwing the conspiracy nut right now.
Yeah, no. Well, that changes things a lot. Yeah, no, all of a sudden,
I think the game's gonna be close.
yeah, no, all of a sudden Cincinnati. I mean, it's in San Francisco, but we've seen that Cincinnati can travel. Yeah, all of a sudden that looks like a game that might be worth, might be a value pick. Going to Cincinnati. Because 5 points, all of a sudden, yeah, that looks big knowing that Purdy's not playing.
That's actually, yeah, that's a big reason why. Like, if Purdy was playing, I think.
And also, it's just in Cincinnati, like, they always have the potential of having like a Chase Burrow game.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Where they can ride with anybody.
Oh, when Chase and Burrow
Are connected.
Oh, it's a
Yeah, man. Like Lamar Chase goes from 175 to 2 touchdowns, right? It's on.
There was a little meme in like the famous community. Is Lamar Chase from 7-Eleven is always open.
Well, that's what he said, right? I mean, those were his own words the other day. But if you're over, I'm always over. Okay. He's diplomatic with the language there, buddy. Chill out. Yeah, Baltimore, Arizona, that's interesting. 9.5 points in Baltimore's favor on the road in Arizona. Ooh. It's almost like that's almost at that big spot. That's almost like a big enough spread to say I might want to look at Arizona.
I have to because Arizona, I'm like Cowboys. I'm telling you, there's always
It happens. It happens.
you know what I mean? Once a team has a great game, expect to be bad or whatever.
Really, because we're talking about Buffalo's favorite 5-10 against Tampa Bay in Buffalo this weekend. Wow, that's a big spread, -10 points.
Oh, they played on Thursday. They played on Thursday. And then that was a big spread, but they didn't go back. It was under.
Oh,
It was
okay.
under, so they played
Okay, Marvin, that was a Thursday game.
Thursday night game, but it was under. You took the under, guys.
Oh, really? So Tampa Bay covered that 10 points?
Covered less than 10 points.
Okay, well, that's what I was saying. If this point spread way out of line, I don't think Buffalo will cover 10 points.
No, they didn't. They covered that. No shit. Buffalo won, but they won by like 4 points.
See what happens? I was getting ready to come to Ottawa.
You might have to talk about that at home. But those are all I think are the kind of leads to what I want to talk about. Was the game of my contention is it's gonna be
Oh, yeah?
that's what we have. What do you have another game in mind?
No. Bengals 49ers. Whether it turns out that way or not, Bengals 49ers. Look at the potential. Right? We're talking about like number one talent right now. Top 3 talent right now. And Cincinnati is like Baltimore has the tools. They're not going to run. I have a feeling that game might draw out their back. So that's what makes the game.
I don't think there's other games that I'm so like we talked about Rams Cowboys and so sneaky good game. Cowboys versus Indy.
Yeah.
Oh, the Cleveland Indian last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
This game not on paper. But you do just see the competitive spirit. Well, that's what I like when you talk about the Rams versus
Tennessee.
another one like that. We didn't get Jacksonville. Steelers. That's a rematch of a couple of playoff games. Right? We all remember Jalen Ramsey game, right? So Steelers, Jacksonville. Two sort of like teams that are like middling a little bit. They're on top of the division for this pair, right? Right? But that game, Steelers are underdogs at home after traveling out the West Coast last weekend for care of the Rams. So we're at home. Steelers fans, but 2 points at home. That defense, TJ Watt bearing down on Trevor Lawrence. Shit, I think that game is going to be good. And I think the Steelers. You know what? You're bad. But you know what? We agree about that. We're not going to tell you. We are guessing a lot of things. Yeah, for sure. But what else do you that you're saying? I'm always going to be in the home. We're talking about the top five. We're talking about that. We're going to learn a lot about this talk. Yeah, we did. We learned everything that we needed to learn. You know what I mean? We learned the truth of that. So I have my top five. For me, I'm going minus Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Niners. And then I'm going to get to a list.
We are laughing because I'm seeing his notes here in front of me. At number 5, he's got or.
Yeah, I was middle. I could have had Miami in that.
Michael Orr is the number 5 ranked team in the NFL.
Yeah, he's not blind. But the number 4 is the Lions.
Yeah.
The Cowboys, the Lions. Actually, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 2 right now.
Yeah.
Niners, 5 and 2 surprising. Now you have to go down in the rankings. You have to reward them for winning. So, it's confusing. I don't know that part.
Yeah.
But it's probably about pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, my number 1's got to be the Chiefs right now. They earned it. The Chiefs earned it right now. They've had a couple of very, very solid wins over their competition, and they have. So, they're looking forward to coming in their opening night mulligan against Detroit. And Detroit, on the other hand, definitely looking like they were a bit of a contender. At a 5-1 record was not entirely accurate. Given the fact that they got close to Baltimore. And what does that do for Baltimore stats, right? You got to shoot them up there. When we were saying they were on the edge last weekend, they're no longer on the edge. I would go right now, honestly, I would go Chiefs. I'd still keep Philly up there because of that great win over Miami, that solid win over Miami. Even though they didn't really pull away until the fourth quarter.
No, not really.
But yeah, it was that, right? So I probably put Philly at 2. And 3, 4, 5. Dude. Spots that are in Miami, Bills, Baltimore. I mean, you got to keep the Lions in there a little bit still.
Oh, yeah, the Lions are right.
You know what I mean? And now the Seahawks are there. The only thing that I really feel right now is Chiefs, Philly, and possibly Baltimore. You brought Miami.
I put Baltimore to higher, but it don't hate me to put them at 4.
I have them at 3.
Because that's a competitive rivalry. You know what's not fun too? The homies are. This was the best part. My favorite part of the podcast. Everybody's like, it's overtime.
You don't like my daughter. I'm going to be upset.
He's gonna be so happy. I'm not sure it's gonna be
I will also be sure.
And y'all feel like talking about how do you feel about Ottawa, man? I with the homie, man. How do you feel overtime?
I've been here 4 years.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've been away from O-Town, so I'm more than halfway back.
Wait, did you bring this book?
Yes, it is.
Did I lend you that book?
I don't know, you didn't. I got it from
Wild, because I read that book and I went to someone else and I have it.
So apparently we're talking about James. We're talking about now and over time.
We don't need to talk about Dan Brown, but I'm just saying, I just realized what you're talking
You gotta
about.
remind everybody that my daughter just stands around.
It's a good book, I like it.
Hey man, it's right in front of me. I was just like, wait, you copied it up with Dan Brown? I just want to know if that's where some of my books that have been missing were.
Ketchup.
Fuck the ketchup. Dan Brown is a lot more interesting.
Let me tell you something, man.
He's a
Let's
good
talk about
author.
real Alright. Let's talk about real condiments.
Mayonnaise, remove it. Remove it.
You know what? I used to be on this side, but now I'm kind of.
No.
I kind of like it.
No. That's why my mom says. That's why my mom says not to hang out with Africans.
Oh,
They eat mayonnaise.
Overtime.
if you have fries with mayonnaise, I'm telling you, underrated combination. Fries with mayonnaise.
Disgusting.
You sound like my girlfriend before. She loves mayonnaise.
Hey, your mom is the opposite. You hang out with Africans.
No. Aioli. I will
All
say.
Africans like mayonnaise with fries.
That's
If you're a
good.
real
That's
African,
good. And that's
you
why
know
my
what
mom
I'm
is
saying.
not from also,
This podcast
the point is, aioli, amazing. I do recognize that mayonnaise taste, but garlic will taste anything.
So you got our opinions. I like mayonnaise.
I'm not an aioli person. I'm just saying I have respect for aioli.
So what's your favorite?
I like
condiment?
teriyaki or sriracha.
Hot sauce. Hot sauce.
Hot sauce. No.
Well, I don't know, guys. I love mom, right?
You like mustard, huh?
You like mustard?
I like Dijon.
I like honey mustard. Honey mustard you can't.
This is the biggest debate we're gonna have on the podcast.
It's
How
better
do you
not
like all the condiments, man? We have a favorite.
white man got to do with
Because
anything.
white men love mustard and mayonnaise.
I understand mustard, only on hot dogs. That's the only time you can ever use mustard. Only on hot dogs.
Dude, what about other sandwiches that are made out of hot dog like this?
Okay,
Like
wait.
or bologna. Gabagool. And lunch meat.
Alright, so have you gotten on the sauerkraut thing? Sauerkraut on a hot dog is amazing. My brothers are German. Do you want to try it? Yeah.
Oh, dude.
This is Dustin. He's
We
gotta get in here. We're trying to get Cinnamon Toast Crunch to sponsor this podcast. So, look, we got you. Like, seriously, write that check. Me first.
We even have it in French. We're multilingual.
Come on, dog. Big.
Look, this is the largest dream. We have to walk around. We got over it about 6 years ago.
Honestly, this is why I say, like, I don't speak French. I can, like, if you gave me a vocabulary test that was all those words, I would rock that shit. But other than that,
I'm telling you, this is now the food podcast. I'm gonna have to do
It is not. It is a football podcast.
hey, that's when you'll get me on your podcast for real. All my whole personality is food and food. We eat good.
The condiment talk. Football talk. Now we're talking about cinnamon toast.
I think eat cereal. I don't think that's What's your go-to breakfast?
I will. You know what we're gonna do?
Go to breakfast is the next podcast.
In the next podcast, me and Jasmine are gonna have food debate.
I was gonna say, don't you have a podcast that entertains all these topics? Yeah.
Yes, and he's never invited me.
Okay, we're gonna have.
I sneak in.
If
That's
you
how I
promise to
get
get
here.
back to football, that'll happen. I'll personally make it happen.
I like football, the hand egg, good sport.
I did my best to raise the Steelers.
I am a Steelers fan. And we all know that your favorite part is Jasmine. Sorry.
Unfortunately, we'll be back to our regular format by next week. So if any of y'all are thinking about just unsubscribing, stop it. We'll be back to our normal gig next week. Come live.
Alright, my bad. We're leaving. We're going home. We have to build